Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Evan told me he has a lot of experience making the turkey.
Really?
Which it's baffling to me that he would be put in charge of something like that.
He does love turkey.
Know your limitations.
That's his go-to at Jersey Mike's.
One of them, and Alex, you might help me with the name, is it Lativius or something like that? I think he's got center.
Marcus Jones texted AVP, said he could snap.
Who was the other guy on the roster, like backup lineman that has some center experience?
Lacita Smith?
That was the guy. I was
Latitas.
close. I think I said
Lativius. The Sharps know something in this game. I don't know what it is, but something they know.
Somebody's going to win.
It's hard to be ugly as a woman in 2024 because there's so many things you can do. There's makeup, there's procedures, there's it's
Botox.
I don't know if you're not trying.
You're just not trying. Have you given up, honey? Have you just given up?
How come then you only eat turkey one day a year?
Is this your god?
Right?
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium. It's bye week here, but we still have a lot to talk about. We need to wrap up Sunday's game. I would say it's one that got away.
Yeah.
It's one that got away. They had this. We talked about this on the post-game show. Paul, Deuce, Evan will be here. Matt's in the booth. They could have taken control of the game in the first half, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, they were the better team, I thought, for basically the entirety of the 60 minutes. And you're right, that the 2 for 6 in the red zone, inability to maximize their scoring opportunities, ultimately came back and bit them at the end when they couldn't come up with a stop. But, the game was you're going to go down to the last play of the game and all that, but they should have had at least a 2-score lead, if not more.
It's so easy to break down, I feel like. Red zone, penalties, the last drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are the critical points of the game. And, that last drive just bugs me. I mean, watching it yesterday again, watching it back, and they just couldn't get off the field. Christian Ellis said we needed one guy to step up and make a play, and I didn't.
I mean, there's been a lot of games over the last couple of years when the Patriots win. We say, was that really a Patriots win, or did the other team just play poorly? Yeah. I wonder in Indianapolis if they're saying that. Is that a Colts win, or did the Patriots just play poorly?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Did they?
Yeah, I don't think the Patriots played poorly. I just don't think.
Or did they give it to us?
Yeah. I do think that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, because I actually think the offense played the best game they've played all year.
Stats-wise, that's the fact.
Yeah, but I thought it looked that way too. They literally marched the ball on every single drive except for the 2 following the turnovers.
Yeah.
And it just was a killer.
Listen, I know that we're not blaming refs for the loss, but I look back at the Gonzalez pick. It was a clear face mask. That should have been another 15 yards. That would have changed. Obviously, the field position.
They would have run the ball twice into the middle of the line.
I think if you're a little closer, but they would have automatically been in field goal position.
I thought he did hit him in the face. There's no question.
Yeah.
Listen, that crew struggles in general, but I'm not going to go to a penalty that they didn't call when they did what they did offensively. I just think the mindset, Fred, that really bothered me, and we're going to get into a lot of these things, when we talk about the game, but is 8 minutes left in the game, and I feel like their goal was to milk clock.
Right.
And I think the goal should have been points, which just reminded me, did you ever send back the mailbag? Because I didn't send anything to Chris to post today. Chris, if you're listening upstairs.
Mailbag is approved.
I'll get you a mailbag and I'll get you the notes at 2 o'clock. Maybe when we take a break, I'll run it and give them to you.
I think the phrase that popped into my head it wasn't hard to take it from the Patriots. That's what it was. They had it for maybe a second, but they didn't do enough at the end to hold on to it and to make it hard on the Colts. And I mean, 3-4 downs.
So I know everyone's killing the Patriots and the coaches for the 2 runs in the sack. But, and that's an indication of milking clock rather than trying to, move the ball. But in their minds, could they, I just can't justify it. But I know that they thought that they were running the ball well all game. And
But that might be true. But you were throwing the ball well all game too.
Well, that's why I just stopped myself, because they were also throwing the ball well too. So is it a 50-50 thing
right.
there?
So if you want to run it on first down because you're running the ball well all day, fine.
Yeah.
You didn't run it well on first down, so you
Yeah.
got to do something different. I said this on Sunday. 2nd and 8 in the NFL is not a running down.
No, it's not.
No, I think it goes to the aggressiveness thing. That's a theme that they've been kind of getting hit with. That throw the ball. Drake's playing well. Put the game on the kid. Let him go win or lose with his arm. And that's what I was willing to do in that game.
Like big picture things. Like I know that we've made a lot, and the three of us kind of agree. You know, if they win 6 games, 5 games, 4 games, it doesn't really matter to us that much because we understand where they are limitations-wise with the roster. I think this game on Sunday was a little different. I think this kind of a game, you need to win that game for a lot of reasons. Number one, you played better than the other team. But at some point, you need to have some tangible results to show your players. And I think when you're not getting any actual wins to create that culture that Gerard Mayo says is difficult to create, he says it takes some time, that's a lost opportunity to start doing that. That game.
Plus, this is probably their last best chance to win it.
That's true too. But like, I just look at it as they haven't. Like, I didn't look at the Tennessee game. To me, was like this game. Only Tennessee was the Patriots in the Tennessee game. You know, like it was a game that could have gone either way. Like the Patriots could have gone for 2 and stolen the game at the. Whoa.
Oh, we just lost our lights. I don't know what happened.
I'm going to guess that we're not on the air, too. But
are we on the air? Are we still on air?
We are still.
Okay,
Right, so
we'll keep
talking.
going. We're in the dark.
But I thought there was some similarities to the Tennessee game almost in reverse.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots could have gone for 2 at the end and stolen the game the way the Colts did. But the Titans really, I thought, were the better team over the course of the 60 minutes.
Sure.
This is the opposite. So I wasn't like, I was disappointed that they didn't go for 2 because we didn't get to see that. But I was way more disappointed as like just watching the game of this loss, because I felt like they absolutely were in control of this game. Fred's was laughing at me because like I haven't had this feeling in a long time. Like I really thought like at the end of the game they're gonna win. They're not gonna score. The Patriots are gonna stop. Like I don't know why I felt like that, but I just felt like that day the Patriots were that much better than the Colts.
Yeah.
And they still couldn't win.
I felt bad about the defense going into it, and that was, putting it all on them at the end, and you hope that they were going to be able to step up. But, I think they had a couple turnovers, but I just think when you stack up the two sides, the offense has made some strides this year. Like, I find it really hard to say, like, Alex Van Pelt out. Like, how can you look at what Drake
I thought
May
he
has
had
done?
a great game with the exception of the couple of situations.
Is there a chance that Drake May saw maybe a lighter, or heavier? I'm sorry, a lighter box and audibled into a run?
There's all. I mean, there's. I'm not going to eliminate any possibilities that I have no idea about. Yeah. I mean, absolutely, there's a chance of that.
It's possible, but I think they're showing elements of creativity. Look, it's not perfect yet, but we talk about having a little bit of patience with the new staff. I mean, I think this is where you're looking at, all right, we've been patient with Alex Van Pelt. Maybe he wasn't doing all the things that we wanted, but he's gotten our young quarterback to a place where he looks really good. Everyone in the league is taking notice of this kid. So for me, I say continue to let that guy develop. But at the same time, you look at the defense that already had pieces.
Right.
And let's face it, a lot of holdover from Bill. These are Bill's guys on the defensive side of the ball.
And Bill feels for those guys too, Mike.
I saw that.
Bill
and I
Bill
just
feels for those.
And he had
guys.
he had to say they re-signed all my guys again. So you heard that from Lombardi.
The space heater
so
tripped the circuit.
I set up a space heater. I think it tripped the lights.
Oh, the old man, Bill called.
Now we're gonna have to freeze.
But yeah, I mean, I caught that thing with Bill, and you heard the same hits that he obviously was saying to Lombardi about they brought all my guys back. Right, well, we brought all your guys back. Why do they stink? Like, why isn't it not going right? Like, you tell me they're just not coaching them right?
On the pregame show Sunday, Mike, someone asked us if we felt like there were more players on offense or defense, more good players. And I think we both agreed, well, if you're going to just individually, there's more on defense.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if they have a tremendous amount of talent on either side of the ball, but there's more on defense.
And it's not playing up to, even the level that they were at last year for a lot of those guys. And with Peppers coming back in Barmore, it starts to put a little bit more of a light on well, is it about injuries or is it just that this defense isn't all on the same page?
We got workers working behind us here, engineers coming in, pulling apart things.
Paul's coughing up a lung.
I can't believe a little space heater tripped up the.
A lot of amps, I think. A lot of amps.
Yeah, I
on
guess
that
so. All right.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
So,
But I did think it was a frustrating loss.
It
just
was.
because the offense, what Mike said, like the offense played so well.
Yeah.
And to only get 24 points with all those drives, like they should have had at least this. This should have snapped your 30-point streak, Mike.
Yeah.
This should have been the game.
40. What is it now? 41 games.
I know. I keep. Are you all right?
I'm gonna step out for a second.
I keep predicting a 31 points for the Patriots. And
You want to get
they
there.
Just can't get there.
No, just can't get there. And they should have, though, and that's something Paul and I talked about on Unfiltered. It was just like, what do they do in the red zone? How do they
Paul, close the.
close the? What are you, born in a barn?
Hold on.
Just going outside. All right, now it's just deuce. Just chaos here during the bye week. Things are falling apart here. But
Cue the circus music.
with the Benny Hill.
Right.
Yeah. So no, it was tough to swallow that one, and it's we got the bye week now. See what they come up with. They're practicing out there right now. So
Yeah.
let's see.
Pepper's back. How did he do?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have liked to have got that fourth down sack. When he came in.
I
took
know
kind
he
of
was just
bad
a little
angle.
late in his decision.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the Schooler one that he actually did make the sack in Chicago, where he sees what's going on and then he goes, but he was just a couple steps late in his decision to go. So that was unfortunate. I just can't get over the fact that they did play very well on offense. I think it was Drake May's best game.
Yep. No question.
He spread the ball around. Everybody kind of contributed. Gibson, I think it was his best game running.
Yep.
So they just couldn't get the win. And you'll see it on the PU show, but 80% of games in the NFL end up 8 points or less. So I really don't like it when Gerard says, well, this is the NFL.
Yeah.
No. This is not the NFL. This is your team this year. Your team isn't a team that, does the things to win the game. Your team right now is a team that does the things to lose the game.
Right.
And that's the hump you need to get over. It's not a points thing. It's not a defensive points allowed thing. It's a mistake thing.
Yeah.
It's coming up, in the big moments with the right decision, the right play. And that's what's separating now the Patriots from, 3-8 or, closer to 500.
So true.
So forget about the points. There's no solace in losing close games right now because you're losing all the close games.
Yeah.
And that's who you are right now. And that's the hump they need to get over.
Well, that's the question I'm wondering about, Fred. And your team, I guess you've been here through it. Like, do you subscribe to the theory that a team needs to learn how to win? Like,
Yeah.
is that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I because Brady came in 01 and they just kind of seemed to know how to win. And I hate comparing things to Brady, but I agree with your point, and that was one of my rants on Patriots Unfiltered on TV. Check it out Thursday. Was just I'm sick of hearing that was my bad on that one. Michael Onwenu this week with the third down where Drake audibled the play and I didn't hear it. I went still to the left side. It just seems every week we're talking about key plays in the game. We go to talk to the guys afterwards, and they're like, "Yeah, that was me. I should have gotten a couple more yards deep." Like, I'm sick of hearing the my bad. Like, lock in and play a good game.
There's different styles of coaching, and some coaches coach out of fear. Like, they want the players to be afraid to make mistakes. A lot of coaches don't subscribe to that. They think that's the wrong way. But I think there is something to be said about, drilling into guys. Don't be the guy that ruins it.
Yeah.
Don't be the guy that screws it up, that loses the game for your teammates. I don't know, like you said, guys are, too quick to say, oh, it's my bad, and, just move on. There has to be accountability, and unfortunately there's not a lot of depth in this team, so guys have to play. There's no one, all right, well, you're sitting. Well, that's hurting the whole team because the person you're bringing up is shouldn't even be out there.
Yeah.
So, but I think there needs to be a little bit of fear of God put into this team about screwing up.
I totally agree. I'd start with the wide receiver room because I think that they're kind of the prime operators with this, where it's, oh, yeah, he just ran the wrong route on that one. He didn't get the right depth on that one. He probably should have sat on that one. Like, you hear it week after week with that position group specifically, and it's been an underperforming position group as it is. I just that stuff has to end. And when Jonathan Jones, like I've heard him say at least 2 times this year, yeah, we just weren't locked in. I'm like, what are we waiting for? Like, are you capable of getting? Is this team capable of getting locked in? Because
we're talking, Paul, about how Gerard said, well, this. I tell the guys this is the NFL, and 80% of games end 8 points or less.
Right. They're all one-score games.
Right. So don't look at the scoreboard and say, oh, we're close.
Right. So that I'm glad you brought that up. So he made a couple of mentions with 2 and 5, I think, in one-score games. That's what he used yesterday. So I remember that was a big thing last year. So I went back and looked. In the first 13 games, they had 10 one-score games last year. Right. So these games,
the fact that you're losing those games, that's more important.
Right. In other sports, those kind of tend to even out. Especially like baseball. 162 games. There's a randomness to it. One-run games, they're generally going to even out a little bit. Bad teams actually typically win more one-run games because they're not good enough to beat you by more than one run. But in the NFL, almost all of the games are close. Because I joke about this all the time. There's no homecoming games in the NFL.
Right.
Like, you watch Carolina play. Anybody watch the Panthers play lately? Like, that's probably the least talented team in the league in terms of just pure roster. They sold off a lot of parts. And they're playing, like, nose-to-nose with everybody. That's just the nature of the game. But when it comes down to it, Kansas City's going to make the plays at the end to beat them. Tampa Bay, who's not a great team, but they're a better team than Carolina, they're going to make the plays at the end of the game to beat you because you're not quite good enough to win those games.
Yep.
And that's what I think the Patriots are running into right now.
Okay. I mean, and I said to Fred, do you subscribe to the theory of teams having to learn how to win? But, I mean, I go back to talent. Like, how much can coaching do? Like, at a certain point, you're in those key moments, and that's where this Patriots team has continually faltered,
Yep. So we continue to work on the lighting here, just in case anyone's wondering. I hope our camera person is on his toes.
Well, I don't think the cameras are on.
I don't think the cameras are on.
Oh, we don't have cameras either?
No, I don't think we have cameras.
Oh, okay.
They look pretty dead.
Wow. So we are on the air, though, right?
We are on the air, but not on TV.
Not on TV.
Just our voices.
Yes, we are audio only right now.
Paul's coughing.
Paul's going to just grab here. Just have one. Oh, still Fred's. Yeah, there you go.
What, Pepsi doesn't do it? Oh, you're done with your Pepsi. All right. Okay. All right. So that's the game. I talked about, again, I don't want to talk about penalties, but these refs. I mean, that was a clear face mask in Gonzalez. At the end of the game, I watched the Barmore one that everyone's screaming about. The fact that it came down to that play, you can't complain about the refs. But I don't think it was as much a penalty as people think.
Wow, really?
No, because what happened is
I kind of thought it was
Barmore beat his man. And as he beat his man, the guy that he beat kind of slid behind and fell and kind of grabbed Barmore as he was falling down.
Right.
And he kind of did pull him, but there's no way a ref can see that.
Well, plus,
in that,
Yeah. The thing that I would say about that play is that when Quentin Nelson comes around, he trucked him. Yeah. Now, he knocked him over. I originally thought he got pancaked, and then when we saw the replay with Chris,
he tripped over the guy
I said,
behind him.
No, it was one of those low bridge. He just, he got hit, and then he ended up falling down. But I do think that the guy on the ground
was like the high-low, right?
He had his
duty of friends in middle school.
I agree with you. In a pile, and you just got killed, and, the guy kind of put his arm up and,
Yeah.
I didn't expect that call.
Even if the guy behind Barmore hadn't pulled him, he was getting trucked anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think he was being taken out of the play in any event.
Now, you want to talk the helmet hit on Hunter Henry, the face mask that you were talking about on Gonzalez. Yeah, so there's calls that were missed. What did you guys think? I'm curious what you guys thought. Mayo got a lot of heat for not challenging that catch on the last drive.
Yeah, so he said he didn't get a good look at it, which if you don't have a look at it, do you risk losing that timeout when you know they're going to be important in this game? Then I mean, we all watched it. Some people are saying it's clear evidence that the ball hit the ground. I don't think it did. I saw the tip of the ball exposed, and it did make contact, but the ball didn't move.
Yeah, people
and I don't think it
people
aided
still
the
don't
catch.
understand that rule.
Right. It's not just touching the ground.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that would have been a toss-up at best.
Yeah, and
Now, I could see them overturning that and call it incomplete.
Sure, anything can happen in the NFL.
But I thought the one the previous week in Miami was much more clear that Jalen Waddle did not catch it.
Right.
Gerard challenged it, and they upheld it.
And he lost, right?
I thought that one, I don't know if you guys remember this play.
Yeah,
'cause
I
know
sure do.
I know I remember.
Only
raising
going
this.
1 week
It was
back,
on our
right?
side in the press box, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that play was clear when they showed the replay that Waddle trapped it.
Yeah.
And they upheld that
Yeah.
call. So I think this one was much more of
Yeah.
a catch than that one.
I'm not killing Mayo for that. What I am wondering is why didn't he have a better look at
So
it?
I also have another rant. On Twitter, I saw several times. So I think that was a 7-yard completion on 3rd and 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it set up 4th and 3,
Yep.
which they converted.
Yep.
I don't know if you know, Mike, but if they overturned that call, Patriots would have won.
Yeah, right. Everything else would have happened. Yeah.
No, but like, why does the 4th and 10 play automatically not convert? They converted 4th and 3.
Yeah.
Like, why? I mean, why is it automatic that they wouldn't have gotten the first down?
Right.
Based
Well-
on the way that drive went.
Sure. Evan, just so you know,
I heard.
yeah, we have no cameras, no lights.
I'm
but
sorry they're not ready for your close-up today.
we still are on air, so people can hear us.
Okay.
It's
And
throwback week. We're doing a
Evan
podcast.
has just
It's
come
just
back
a
from
podcast.
practice.
Evan has returned from practice. Evan has returned from practice. Yeah, Evan has returned from practice. What was the mood? Who wasn't there? What did he see?
Okay, Evan, I know it's cold out there.
It's cold.
Yeah, so there
It's
must be a
cold.
lot of grousing.
Mostly from me, honestly. I hate the cold. I'm soft. I fully admit it. It's chilly out there. This is probably the coldest day that we've been out there all year, I would say, for practice. It was a little cold last week, too, but this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any sun out? Is that not helping?
Well, no, not really, because like half the field is in the shade. We were in the
there you
stadium
go.
today,
Yeah.
and of course they put the media in the shade and not in the sun. You
Well, that
know,
was on purpose.
because of how we treated
Opposite
Gerard
of
after the
Miami.
game on Sunday or something. I don't know. No,
Right.
I'm just totally kidding. Totally
Yeah.
kidding. But
So the team did go into the bowl today. I guess they're working on the practice fields,
Yeah.
the turf and everything.
yeah, it's weird over there right now. So the training camp fields are getting resodded, regrassed.
Kind of a tough time to resod.
And then the lower practice field, there's construction going on right there. So like getting in and out of the lower practice field is like a little bit of a experience right now too. So it's all kind of coming together down there.
So it's Tuesday practice. It's a
Yes.
rare second Tuesday in a row, but a rare Tuesday practice because the team is going to take the rest of the week off,
Yeah.
it being the bye week. Were they in pads?
No pads. Obviously upper shells, but no lower pads. No, not in full pads. So just quickly on attendance before we get too distracted here.
Okay.
No Jelani Tavai and no Vidarian Lowe were the two players
Interesting.
absent.
Tavai was on the radio this morning, but he wasn't at practice.
Wasn't at practice, and Lowe has been dealing with that shoulder injury, and we see him walking around in one of those like shoulder splint thingies. That's
I
not
think
a
that's the
splint.
official word.
I don't.
That's the
Shoulder
official.
thingy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it.
Splint
That's
thingy.
certainly it's like a harness almost to like help him support his shoulder a little bit.
Based on the way the offensive line played last game,
Yes.
you've got the bye. Do you think they played well enough to stay the way they are, the 5, or do you bring in Cole Strange after the bye?
Well, I just wonder where at this point, because I thought this was another solid game for Ben Brown at center.
Yeah.
And Layden Robinson, they clearly want to develop him and want him to play at left guard. And so if he's not going in at left guard and that's sort of off the table, and he's not going in at center because Brown's been playing pretty well there, I don't know if he deserves to be benched by any means. So he doesn't play tackle, unfortunately. So you can't bench one of the tackles for him. So not to say they have this embarrassment of riches, certainly not, but it's also just one of those things where, like, do you want to bench a guy like Ben Brown who has been doing the job pretty adequately since he got it? So
yeah. So a lot of times in the summer, in training camp, the hotter it is, the more clothes the coaches wear. That's when they wear their, layers.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of guys in shorts today and T-shirts, just to show,
Not a lot.
Yeah.
There were a few players in shorts still. Christian Ellis was still rocking shorts, and I was like, braver man than me, I guess. Some of the coaches, though, were just in, like, sweatpants and a sweatshirt, which I think is a bold move as well for how cold it is out there, but maybe they move around so much during practice that it doesn't really matter. Now, Hunter Henry was in a Patriots winter jacket underneath the pads. So that's
odd look.
That was what he was doing. I don't think we have to release an injury report today because it's Tuesday and it's the bye week, so I don't think they need to release an injury report.
I don't think so.
But it looked like Hunter Henry was there to hang out and not participate much in this practice today. As well, so he might have just been
head related,
bundled up to because he's going to be standing around a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So that's your practice report.
It is.
I guess
that's the last practice of the week.
Yeah. Was it full media attendance or?
Oh
no,
a
lighter.
Little lighter today. Some people I think have actually taken the whole week off. For the bye week. Very nice.
Yeah, because they've been grinding.
Good for them.
It's been tough.
I mean, can you imagine?
This has been
having to cover 13 games in a row without a break.
This has been an especially rigorous season for the media.
I mean, a lot of Sunday at ones.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't get much. Don't get no tougher than that.
It's tough. It's tough. Got to fights. Fix those fingertips. A lot of
carpal tunnel. Got to be worried about that.
It's I mean, in terms of the media, this has been a pretty easy year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
scheduling wise, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had a couple of long trips, right? You had San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
London.
London, Miami.
Yeah. Now we'll go to Arizona after the bye.
And you'll have Arizona.
It's the most Sundays at ones I think we've had in 20 years.
I can't remember.
No.
I can't remember having this many Sundays.
I don't like to complain about covering a football team as it is, but no complaints in terms of any of that.
Well, for you, but
I think we might be back on TV.
I'm just talking about the rest of the
on the television.
Crew.
Yeah, I mean, look, at 13 weeks in a row, and if you want to go down this road, really training camp starts and then the train is left the station. So it's really going back to July for most of us that we've been grinding, as you like to say, Fred.
Yeah.
So
well, I hope everyone gets a well-deserved break.
Yep.
Well-deserved
for some.
So we already kind of talked about the game itself. Any take that you want to get off your chest?
A couple, I guess. So just listening to what you guys were saying when I came in, I'm going to disagree on the Christian Barmore thing. I think it's 2 penalties in one.
Chop block.
Chop block for sure.
I disagree with Fred on that too.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
100% a chop block. And I get why, just by the look of it, it looks like a hole. But to me, by the rule, it looks more like a chop block than a hold because he's got somebody around his legs and then Nelson comes up over the top.
Right.
Like that is a textbook chalk block. Like somebody's engaged with his lower body, then hits him up top. Now, with that being said,
yeah, there you go. Lights are back.
Have to acknowledge
Good
that.
Job.
Can't just keep going.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Might even get some heat back.
Yeah,
I know. It was getting cold in here, wasn't it?
It's cold.
Those are one of those situations.
Don't plug in the space heater, man.
That's one of those situations,
Don't
though,
plug
where
in the
like
space heater.
it was Fred, right, that plugged in the space
I
heater.
did, yeah.
It's better him than any of
Right,
us.
right.
Right? Like,
I do
let the
I do
boss
agree
do it.
with that it was probably a penalty, but I also agree with Fred's point that it's hard. Like it's directly in the middle, to the right of where the ball was run. It wasn't even at the point of but. I do think the guy's on the ground. I don't think it was an intentional chop block.
No.
I think the guy lost his balance, and he ended up right at the guy's legs. I think Evan's right. I think by the letter of the chop block law, he's got the guy engaged, at his legs, and then Nelson hits him. That's supposed to be automatic.
Right.
So
Now-
I was surprised that. I guess I wasn't
So
surprised.
do we
they didn't
figure
call it,
out?
but,
Let's just say that it was a penalty. All right. Do we figure out what happens after that?
Good.
Yeah,
I was
it's
already wondering that after the game.
It's basically you have the choice now to attempt the extra point from 15 yards back or 10 yards back. I can't remember how much it is for a chop block, or you can go for 2 from the 12-yard line if you wanted to.
But
if they wanted to
so
kick,
do you know that that's a fact? Because that's a shorter extra point than it would be otherwise.
No. If they wanted to kick, the 15 yards for the chop block would have been from the 15. So it would have gone back to the 30 and made it a 48-yard kick.
48. Okay, instead of 42.
33.
33.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah.
Math.
Yeah.
Hard.
Okay.
Yeah, so they could still go for 2 if they wanted to,
Yeah.
but they would have had to go
They
from the
probably would have
17-yard
opted.
line.
Yeah, so
Dan Campbell wasn't in the stadium, so they probably would have just kicked
if
it.
it was a
Yeah.
penalty, it would have been overtime.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the one thing I will say about the penalty, I get that this is probably wrong to say this, but I also feel like I don't want games decided
I have no
necessarily
problem
like
with
that.
the no call, but I do think it was a penalty.
Yeah, like it's one thing if it's a 2-point conversion and a guy's running wide open in the end zone and somebody tackles him, and commits defensive pass interference or something like that. But this was one of those sort of in the trenches kind of things where I don't know. I don't know if I'd love the game being decided by a penalty in that spot if it doesn't have to be. So
I just found it made me so mad because I'm like, of course, like they let a 19-play drive, and then it's like, oh, but they held us on the 2-point. Like, I'm like, oh, come on.
That was
like,
kind of my, so I wake up Monday. Now, we saw this on the post-game show because the first time they showed it, Ev, I looked at it and I was like, wow, Barmore just got pancaked.
Yeah.
Because you just see the first shot, and I see he had the red sleeves on,
Yeah.
and the arms go up, and I was like, wow, Quentin Nelson killed him. Then they showed another replay, and I'm like, oh, no, he didn't get pancaked. There's a guy right behind him. It's like when you're in middle school.
right?
You literally got tabletop.
You get your friend to set up behind him, and you
That's
push
how
him over.
fights-
That's what I thought
That's
happened.
how fights start.
So I was like, he didn't get pancaked. That was just a low bridge, and that's what happened. Then I wake up Monday morning to the Zapruder film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Back.
Everybody and their brother had different angles of the travesty of this non-call. And I'm kind of with Mike. I'm like, you just allowed that quarterback to
Right.
convert 3 4th downs in a 19-play drive, which was actually 21 plays because I think there were a couple of penalties along the way. And you're complaining that the 2-point conversion didn't get overturned with a chop block or a hold or whatever.
I did. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I understand from a player perspective, though.
Oh, from Barbour's perspective, I totally get it.
Because, he, just talking after the game with some of them, like he knew the play that they were going to run because they've been running it all game. The QB power, they've been running it. They probably ran it 10 times in the game. So he swims the tackle.
He beat his man.
To get into the backfield
He beat
because
the
he
guy.
knows that's where they're going to try to hit the play, and so in his mind he was like, I blew it up, like I was right there,
But
and
I don't
had
agree
it.
with that because he beat his man, but he was now
Nelson was coming.
Nelson hit him.
Right, but did Nelson hit him because he had to make the tackle right for whiffing on the block on Barmore? Like, see, it's a domino effect, right? Like, because that's not who Nelson is supposed to block.
Okay.
So Nelson is fixing the mistake by the tackle by blocking Barmore at the point of attack there. So someone else
who
with the
would've made the play?
linebacker, with the linebacker.
Yeah, the
have gotten there.
linebacker theoretically should have been unblocked to make
Yeah.
the play.
Because Richardson did
Touchdown.
he did get hit outside, but he
Oh, yeah.
powered him.
And
way-
they plowed.
way
Yeah,
in.
they plowed him in.
So okay.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm not like. I think
penalty.
there was. I think
Yeah.
there was a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it was a penalty.
But
I just
again, yeah.
like.
The context of the game
I
and
don't-
how it ended and
Yeah.
everything. It's
So
just-
I
it's
don't want to win on a
frustrating.
technicality. I want
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah, my only other thought on the game was, just again, other than finding a way to lose all these close games, which is painful, but again, just watching the defensive film, you see a lot of issues on that side of the football. A lot of issues with just obviously talent level personnel, especially in the front seven, but also, assignments, run fits, coverage busts again in the red zone. Like, there's just not a well-coached, well-oiled machine on the defensive side of the ball right now. And offensively, you're seeing some progress and you're seeing some good things from Van Pelt and the scheme and all that kind of stuff. And defensively, you're just getting none of that outside of Christian Gonzalez, flashing here or there. every once in a while, and that is extremely discouraging because I just don't know where they go from here defensively. Like, you have a defensive-minded head coach, you have a young defensive coordinator in Covington who you like. So, do you move on from Covington? Do you give Gerard more defensive responsibility, like, moving forward? How do you fix that on that side of the ball, I think is a big question. Just assuming that Jawan Bentley comes back and Barmore gets fully healthy and all of a sudden this is a top 10 defense again, I think is a giant leap based off of what we've seen. I mean, everybody, it kind of feels to me like the Bruins, not to cross sports, where like there's multiple guys that are underperforming. Like there's just like all over the defense, Tavai, Kyle Duggar, Jonathan Jones, just go on down the line of guys that have played really good football for you over the last couple of years that just aren't playing good right now.
So I can't wrap my head around. It's like, these are the guys you kept. These are the coaches you kept. These are the holdovers. This is the holdover side of the ball. And yet they're the ones who have fallen off and haven't been able to. I can't quite wrap my head around, make it make sense.
Yeah, because I really thought Sunday was going to be one of those, we're going to flex our muscles against
the Bears.
Yeah.
Like Chicago. And it wasn't.
They've had two of those games.
And
this
Richardson, wasn't great, but he was good enough.
Yeah. It's like, Pellegrino, Brian Belichick, like these guys have.
Yeah.
So you brought
really
up
good
Jonathan Jones, Ev, and I'm curious. Do you feel like he sort of, I don't want to use the word benched, but do you feel like he was benched for performance?
Phased out.
Phasing out,
I think is a good way to put it, because he can't play corner anymore.
Now, I do think Austin played well for the most part. It wasn't perfect, but I thought he played pretty well.
But I was reading your wrap up, and you said that they were rotating, and at that play at the end, it was just Austin's turn really out there, and Gerard wants to see how these young guys are going to play.
Yeah,
and you can't take them out if you really want to, judge them fairly. You got to keep them out there in the big plays.
I don't have a huge problem with that mentality, if that's why.
I don't know.
I'm wondering.
I'm just guessing.
When you brought up, the guys that haven't played, and you included Jonathan Jones, that made me think more, was this performance related that he wasn't out there at the end of the game?
I think he just wants to see people. I
think there's also the whole matchup thing of there's a lot of big receivers on the Colts. So who is he without Josh Downs? Who is he really going to cover? But we're just looking up some stats here at the bye week, and out of 72 qualified corners in the league, Jonathan Jones is dead last in passer rating into his coverage right now. He is the worst corner in the league by a lot of metrics at this point in coverage.
I'd like to go back and see the post-game reaction every week to see that. I haven't seen any of that.
What do you mean?
No one's written that. No one's tweeting that after the game breathlessly, telling me all the stats.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, I think Evan's fully right. It's another thing that hit my radar, and I'd connect it to they're turning guys over at the bottom of the roster too. They brought in another practice squad guy today. They got rid of Michael Jordan. They got rid of Joe Giles Harris. Yesterday, Paul has converted me. I'm not saying these guys are gems, but it seems like they're churning up the bottom of the roster at the end just to see if they can find anybody who might be able to stick and compete next summer.
Yeah, I definitely wonder too, just about Kyle Duggar and where he is at mentally right now, because this wasn't as egregiously bad as the Miami game where it's obvious that he's not playing well. But when you watch the film back, I mean, there's as many minus plays on this tape as there were last week for Kyle Duggar. Obviously, the touchdown on him, at the end of the game, but just other plays too, where he's just not in the right places, or gets beat again, or gets beat up the seam, and the tight end just drops the ball, on what should have been a walk-in touchdown on him earlier on in the drive, if he gives that one up. So it's just he's a player too that he's more talented. He's better than that.
What if I said let's get rid of the safeties playing linebacker? Why don't we get rid of that and have linebackers play linebacker and let our safeties
in today's
play
NFL,
safety?
can you really do that?
Well, I think most teams in the league do that, right?
Well,
they're not trying to play Kyle Duggar at inside linebacker where he's not going to be able to stop the run. He just isn't fit to do that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I like him better stopping the run than I do him in coverage.
I know. We've talked about how linebackers are being phased out in this league a little bit.
They're running
not as dominant as they used to be.
They're running that crack sweep play with Richardson on the design quarterback run, and it's 4th and short is one of those 4th down plays. I can't remember which one, and the whole stadium knows what play they're going to run.
Yeah, easy.
And Kyle Duggar gets smoked on the crack block, doesn't even see it coming and gets pancaked on the edge, and I'm just like, well, what did you think they were going to run? Like, they weren't going to run a different play. Like, that was
and I would say this. You guys are right, actually, because I would say the same thing. The other fourth down play, the fourth down that they wouldn't have gotten if they overturned the call.
Right.
That was, I think it was 4th and 3 that they got 11 yards on.
Yeah, they actually threw it on that one.
Yeah, but he could have run it too because Peppers was out there and he got dusted. He's the contained guy.
Yeah.
And he got right around him, easily looked, and then he saw he had a guy wide open. He just threw it for the easy money rather than just running for it. But he could have done either one. And that's those guys, both of those guys, that's what they should be able to do. I'm not asking
see ball, get ball.
I'm not asking Duggar to blanket Michael Pittman on the tying touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't think that's his skill set.
Yeah.
But to Evan's play that he's talking about, he should be able to recognize a block coming and take on the block and set the edge and force the guy to do something.
Yeah.
That was an easy conversion. Both ways. The one was left toward the Colts sideline, the one that you're talking about with Duggar, and the one I'm talking about with Peppers was toward the Patriots sideline.
Yeah.
And I think they were both fourth down plays on that last drive.
You got to start asking questions, I think, on about the defensive coaching, and now at this point more so, I would say than Van Pelt. Like, I think Van Pelt, has done.
I thought there was
a steady job.
A lot of good stuff in that game. Before you got here, I said, with the exception of the 2 possessions, after the picks, and I didn't like the mentality late in the half, but I don't put that on him. Because I think that there's the timeout usage and whatnot. I don't think that's him. Yeah. I think that's a head coach's. But the 2 drives after the 2 picks, especially the last one.
Yeah.
But the little shovel pass to Hunter Henry off the play action to Marcus Jones, I really like that wrinkle.
Oh, that was a nice play.
I really enjoyed that.
Evan did a whole GIF on it.
Yeah.
You had a GIF?
Yeah, Power Read.
You have a GIF? Is it a GIF or a GIF?
Well, I actually just download the videos. I don't. We're beyond GIFs now, Mike. You don't have to do the pixelated
boomer.
GIFs.
No, I didn't know you had that. I really liked that play.
That's probably one of my favorite plays they've run all year. That's a Kansas City Andy Reid special right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that was a creative.
Thank you.
That was a creative play.
Right.
I loved the Austin Hooper touchdown.
Yep.
Like a little. I don't know if it was like an over a sail route. I don't know.
Sail route. You got it.
Was it a sail route?
Sail route.
There were so many guys in the same spot. I wasn't really sure exactly what it was, but I
Let's
liked
leave
that.
it alone.
I liked that. Can I use the word concept?
When something's for sale, a lot of people go
Yeah,
there.
no, look, it's a
You've
good
got
concept
projections
against
now.
the coverage because they know they're going to play some sort of single high safety because that's what the Colts play all the time. And so you're just flooding that sideline, right? You're going to run the vertical, then the sail route fills in underneath it. And usually that sail route should be open. If not, then you just throw the check down in the flat to the running back so that's like a 3-level read for the quarterback, and it's wide open. They had another play to Austin Hooper that I put on Twitter where, really nice scheme where Pop Douglas comes behind Drake May in an orbit or satellite motion, and then he fakes the toss out to Pop Douglas and throws it left
Yep, I remember that
off
one
that
too.
play action fake. So they actually wheel Ramondre out of the backfield and use Douglas as like the play action fake. A lot of motion, a lot of misdirection against the zone defense is how you take down that kind of coverage because their eyes are going to be on the quarterback in the backfield. So you just create chaos, a lot of misdirection, a lot of motion, things like that. They motioned a ton in this game, 20 times. They used motion at the snap, which was a season high. So they did a bunch of really nice things in this game offensively.
Do you think that this is more related to the Colts, or do you think this is a sign of the offensive coaching staff hearing the calls for we need to be more creative, we need to mix it up a little bit, and them evolving?
Well, I think they're getting more confident.
Yeah.
So they're building the pages in the playbook.
Yeah.
As Drake May, gets better every week, I think they're opening up and adding, a little bit to his repertoire.
Yeah.
So it's funny though. You mentioned Hunter Henry earlier. They were playing Zoe's call on the Hunter Henry interception. The one where we all said, if the throw had been to the other shoulder, it would have been easier to catch, and it was a little bit on Drake May. You should have heard Zoe. You can't throw the ball any better than that.
Yes, you can.
I mean, that was literally what he said.
Listen, it's ridiculously unlucky.
Yeah.
That the play ended up being an interception.
Sure.
But it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
And they got
Yeah.
It's a little on Hunter Henry. It's a little on Drake May.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And it's a little on the Colts for making that, being
But
able to
yeah,
remember.
they were there.
you were slightly off target with your throw. You didn't deserve to get a
No.
goal line pick
No.
out of it.
No.
But, like,
It's
my
unfortunate.
God, that's another one I heard about
Yeah.
on Twitter. I wake up Monday morning. I was like,
But the other thing Zoe said is,
I don't know. Like,
You need to stop waking up Monday morning.
I was,
my day's ruined again.
I was much better when I was still asleep.
the other thing Zoe said in the moment is like, he's on his back. Why isn't he down? Well, because he never
Because
had
he
the
never
ball.
even came close to catching it.
I will defend Zoe just a little bit. Like watching it live, like then when you watch it back 10 times on a replay,
I know.
Yeah, so his live call, maybe is a little bit different. But yeah, I thought
That's
the ball it was a
But
little
he
bit
he
off.
never had this.
It
All
was
right.
just a
great
little
throw.
bit to the inside, which allowed,
Yeah.
I think it was Zaire Franklin,
Yep.
44,
Yeah,
to
to
kind
come
of
in.
get
Got a
involved.
hand in, yeah.
Might have gotten a hand on it.
Yeah.
You
Made
can
it a
see it
tough
clear.
play,
You can
and
see
then-
it clear as day on the end zone view that Henry actually it's his right hand, like kind of has to reach out his right hand like
Yeah.
this to try to bring the ball back in.
Yeah,
and
if
if
it's
he
Gronk, he catches it.
yeah,
Right? It was,
if he hits him on between the 8 and the 5, it's a touchdown.
Right.
All right. My food's here, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about what you think coming out of the bye, Gerard Mayo's message to the team should be. And, of course, your calls and emails here on Patriots Unfiltered right after this. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And we welcome you back to Gillette Stadium, where the Patriots will host the Indianapolis Colts later today. It's the pregame social fueled by Duncan. And we are pleased to be joined by WWE superstar Kofi Kingston.
Hey, I'm looking at myself on the screen.
That's your one,
I'm in the
Kofi.
Matrix.
That's your
That's the one right
Yeah.
there, right? Yeah. What's up, man?
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
It's an honor for us to house you here. And, let you know, if those that don't know, you're from the Boston area.
I am. I grew up in Winchester, graduated from Winchester High.
So you're a
went to,
Sachem?
I'm a Sachem. Yep. Went to Boston College as well.
And so you're an Eagle in a Sachem.
That's right. Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
Eagles after beating Pitt
hometown
yesterday.
boy.
There you
Yeah,
go.
big game yesterday.
Yeah. So you're a Patriots fan.
Huge Patriots fan. Yeah, absolutely.
Who was your favorite player as you were growing up in the area, Kofi?
I mean, it's an easy answer, but Brady, right?
Okay.
I mean,
how about if we take that one away
if
from
we take
you?
Brady away, I'd probably go with Randy Moss. You know,
That
just
07 season was unbelievable.
yeah,
right?
it really was. You know, being pretty much almost undefeated. Well, undefeated, but the whole season. Yeah, great season for sure. Great season for sure.
Is there a favorite Patriot memory that you can think of when you were growing up? Like the one thing we were so spoiled with, it was an embarrassment of riches for almost 20 years or 20 years plus.
Yeah.
What was your favorite memory during this whole run?
I feel like I'm just giving you like the most easy and basic answers, but being down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, actually my friend and I live streamed us watching the show or watching the game, and just being down, everyone, like when you're on top, everyone wants to see you lose for some reason, and they don't want to appreciate what greatness is. I'm like, you should be appreciating what we're seeing right now. Like Brady in his prime, like we should be appreciating this, not hating on it. And we're down 28-3, and I'm getting all these texts from all my college friends, and they're not even Falcons fans, but they just want to hate on us, you know? So then just to see us like come back and to win, and Edelman making that incredible catch, like, how did this happen? The greatest comeback in the history of sports. And it happened to us and like solidified. If you didn't think that Brady was the greatest at that point, like he was after that game, you know, to be able to come back because it was awesome. Just crazy.
You've convinced me in less than 3 minutes that you can handle yourself in a bar if you want to debate the Patriots.
Come on, man.
Right?
Bro, I've had several
You'll
debates. And I just don't understand why people like don't want to see people win. Right. It's so weird to me. It's so bizarre, right? Like the Chiefs are kind of experiencing that right now too, right?
Yeah,
like people
interesting
are
to watch
the
from
refs,
one side.
The refs,
it's crazy.
Right? The refs,
the refs
favoring them now.
It's just wild how that happens, man. Like what do they say? You live long enough as the good guy to become the bad guy. That's not the quote, but you know what? That's the sentiment, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
So besides being here at Gillette Stadium today to watch the Patriots take on the Colts, one of the reasons is Kofi is here to promote the Monday Night Raw at the Garden in just over 2 weeks on it's the 16th. That it is.
That's right. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Monday Night Raw is always spectacular, and as you guys know, like the fans in New England and Boston are the greatest fans in the world. So passionate, you know. We have so many. Like what we do is we win, right? We want to see winning happen. So if you want to win yourself, then you come to a WWE show. Like if you hate fun, then don't come. If you don't like fun, then don't come to the show because it's an amazing show. It's like super fun. There's like pyrotechnics everywhere, the loud music. It's like a rock concert. You get to see incredible athletes doing incredibly athletic things. You cheer for the guys that you love. You boo the guys that you hate, and that's all okay. We want you to come and have an experience. So tickets are still available, but they're probably not going to be available for long. So you got to go out there, get your tickets, and come out and be entertained. It's going to be great.
So the easy answer is the Boston guy would be, what's the best crowd you've been in front of, and you'd want to say Boston.
Yeah.
But because WWE is such a huge international event, what's the best crowd, Kofi, that you can recall that you've been in front of?
So I have two answers for this. We had a show in Santiago, Chile, and we hadn't been there as a company before, and South American fans are super, super passionate. So we had the one show, it sold out in like 5 minutes. And then they opened it up for a second night, and just to see if it would sell, that also sold out in like 15 minutes. So as soon as we walked out there, the entire arena just like, whoa, I've never felt an energy so strong as the fans in Santiago 2 nights in a row. And we would just go out there and we'd be standing there and people would be losing their minds. And then you like take one step, like, whoa, you know? So just crazy energy the entire night. The second answer, the most interesting place that I've ever wrestled at was in Nîmes, France. It was in a coliseum, like an actual coliseum where people spilt blood and fought for their lives. And now here we are doing that in our spandex, you know? And we put a ring right in the middle of the stadium, and it was great to just like, you know, do what was being done centuries before. Of course, we got to leave with our lives, so it was a beneficial time for us, but very unique. I've been so fortunate to be able to experience so many different cultures and travel the world, and just the WWE universe is amazing. We have the best fans, the most passionate fans, and it's been an honor to be able to do this for so long at such a high level.
We're pleased to be joined by Kofi Kingston of the WWE. Mike and I don't know that we have an expertise, but I guess we talk about the Patriots and know a little bit about the Patriots. Specifically for your appearance here today, we brought in our WWE expert, our producer, Matt McCann.
What's your wrestling name, Matt? Do you have a wrestling name?
I don't have a wrestling name, but I did the Killer Kowalski School for my buddy's bachelor party.
So really? They had a bachelor? Really?
Mm-hmm.
What a great place to have a bachelor party. So what did you do when you went?
So we got up on top rope, threw some elbows down, ran the ropes.
Oh man!
It's if you can picture somebody this big trying to run the ropes, it wasn't easy.
Let's
I
go.
have a lot of respect for what
I've
you do.
seen it, bro. There's a guy, Brian Malonis. Mm-hmm. He helped train me. He wrestles with ROH every now and again, but legend in the Northeast. Yeah. I had my last match on the Independence with him, and he's a big guy, but an incredible athlete that moves around in ways that he should not be able to move in that size. So I've seen that happen. You know, I've seen guys like yourself do incredible things.
I wouldn't call myself an incredible athlete, but I tried.
I called you. Take the compliment.
That.
Yeah, man, come on.
So you've done just about everything in the business. You've won a lot of those right there, a lot of championship belts.
Those titles, yeah.
The big one's obviously when you won the WWE Championship. But outside of that, what would you consider your career-defining moment?
Oh, man. This is such a weird question because I feel like I don't like talking about my accolades, and I feel like I'm bragging or whatever. But you asked, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think the first title that I ever won was the Intercontinental Championship. That was the first title that I ever won, not just in WWE, but also on the independent scene. And to wrestle against someone like Chris Jericho, who is an established legend in our industry and a guy who I looked up to at that time, he's the man. He's always been the man. Shawn Michaels was also involved in that match, and Shawn Michaels is my guy. To me, I've never seen him have a bad match. All the matches that he has had have been great. So for him to be involved, for that to be my first title win, it really made me feel like I actually, I'm here now. I made it, and I was so green that when I held the title up and they made a Topps card of this, I'm holding it like this. Yeah, and you know what I mean? You can't see the plates of the title. This is not how you hold a title up. But I never had the experience before, and sure enough, that's the card that they used on the Topps or whatever, whichever company made the card. But that was something. This has always been my childhood dream. When I was a kid in Winchester, we'd have all the guys, all the kids in the pit, what our neighborhood was called. We would come through my front yard. We would have Royal Rumbles and Battle Royals, which I don't suggest to any kids to do at home. Don't do that, because it was very dangerous. But we loved wrestling, and I really envisioned myself being at WrestleMania winning the WWE Championship. So for me to actually have that happen, the term "have your dream come true" is so cliche, but that to me, that's what actually happened. This is all I've ever wanted to do. So I've just been so blessed to be able to be one of the few people on this earth to say that they have lived out their childhood dream and are continuing to live out their childhood dream. So it's been a wild ride.
That's awesome. Well, Kofi, I had to reach out. I told you Meg Morant used to work on our show.
She's the best.
She's a pro. So I figured I'd reach out to her. So she scripted me a question here. So I'm going to get a little bit into WWE mode here for a second. I'll do my best, Meg Morant. But all right, this week is the New Day's 10-year anniversary. Wouldn't you know it? He and his best friend / tag team partner have not been able to get on the same page for the past few months. And last night on Raw, Woods crossed the line, bringing up how Kofi Mania has ended. How does Kofi forgive him? I mean, these two got to get it together before their big anniversary.
This is crazy. Meg Morant, my good friend, the person who I'd say I told her she's just an amazing person, and she gives me the hardest hitting question. I was hoping to come here and not have to talk about that, but yeah, Xavier Woods, he and I have been butting heads as of late. But families, that's what they do. Anybody with siblings knows that at some point in time you're going to butt heads. Unfortunately for us, it's kind of unfolding on television. We have our 10-year anniversary, which is on Monday on Raw. And I don't know what's going to happen. It's one of the first times that I really have no idea what's going to happen, what the celebration is going to be like. We have been a group for 10 years, and we've never been into a fight. We've never had an argument. But over the past few months, we've been butting heads a little bit. And last week, things got pretty intense. After our match, we were screaming at each other as soon as we got backstage and saying some pretty terrible and dastardly things to each other. But, it was what it was. And I guess we'll figure out what happens on Monday.
Sounds big, right?
Tune into Monday Night Raw.
That's a tease
to find out.
Yeah. Kofi, you mentioned television, and
now, great moments in history.
If you say he's a friend of Eric,
yes,
isn't that proper? Isn't a friend of Eric's redundant?
Yes.
If he belongs to Eric, that's what the of means. It's possessive.
Yep.
So why do we
That's a
need
good one.
of Eric's?
That's a good one. You don't
Eric's
have to,
friend.
Eric's friend would be proper, but if you say he's a friend of Eric, that's also proper, no?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
But a lot of people say a
would
friend
say
of
he's
Eric's.
a friend of Eric's.
Right.
Now,
Yeah,
I don't know that I'm right. I don't know that I'm right about that
Right.
one. So I'm not being all
It should be
snarky.
friend of Eric.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how that's how I would write it.
This is a grammar deep dive in
Yes.
AP Perillo
Yep.
English.
I know
very
you,
specific.
I know you just got on a blog and just wrote on your own. Some of us had to go to college and learn how to do it.
Perfect.
Ooh, elitism.
Not a very good one, but
That's another great moment from
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered. 855-PATS-500 is the TPX hotline.
Mike was manning the Holy Cross power play. He
That was all I was
He
thinking
wasn't
of.
in journalism class.
The second power play. Thank you, Paul.
Podcast at
Not good enough
patriots.com.
for
It's
the
the email.
first power
I like that. That was early in Mike's tenure when Paul was still upset that I hired a blogger.
And now look at us.
Well, now you've
We're
hired
taking over.
I was very much instrumental in Mike's hire.
Were you?
You not so much.
I know that. That's okay.
That is not true. That is not true.
Paul was
I was
checking
in on
my,
your interview too.
You were.
But Mike did more work on you than I did.
Yeah.
I did a
I
lot
already
of work
knew, yeah.
With Fred.
Well,
on,
you were
on
you
mine.
were on my hockey DB page checking my
Right,
sophomore stats.
absolutely.
Like, what happened sophomore year? I'm like, what is this guy?
I liked you, like when you came in and did that radio show.
that was
I took
fun.
a shine to Mike.
That was fun.
I didn't realize.
Well,
like,
I think what I
deep-seated
did, what
hatred
I
of
was
Brady,
glad
but-
I did when I did that radio press was I started an argument between you guys because I went right in with this like takes, and you guys started getting into it, and I was like, oh, I think this is good. Like these guys are taking something I said and running with it. You know, that was a good.
What's going on
I
here?
didn't realize how easy it was though.
Everybody thought I was.
Speaking of that-
Paul and I were going to hate each other.
That's a good segue, Mike.
A lot of people have said that to me.
Yeah.
Our
BB
buddy Andy Hart said, how long is it going to take you to fight him?
Yeah.
I've mellowed.
BB in New Hampshire writes in, I'm a new listener as of this season, thanks to my boyfriend converting me. I've come to realize, though, that he and I have Paul versus Fred arguments. We'll be talking Patriots and switch off on who's who.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll assume the Fred role, asking pointed questions and challenging him on semantics to pin down his opinion, to hopefully later prove him wrong. And sometimes he'll assume the Paul role as more of a stubborn contrarian who can't understand how anyone could be so dumb as to disagree with him. The funny part is that we always come to the so we agree conclusion, but manage to spend 20 minutes arguing as if we aren't on the same side. He loves you guys and turns 27 on the 12th, so please, if you read this, wish Joe in New Hampshire a happy birthday. Thank you guys for the endless entertainment. So, Joe, happy birthday,
Joe.
Early birthday.
And you guys are doing it right. Good job.
I don't. Congratulations if you're winning arguments with your girlfriend too. Like you're walking away peacefully from those. Like most argument, that doesn't sound like most couple arguments I know. Where
I'm
it's
over
kind of
life.
I'm over life.
I was going to
too.
say,
I'm the Fred.
We're all over
I'm the
life
Fred
on
of
this.
arguing when I argue with Beth.
Even if you're right, though, you're wrong. You know, so it's
You're
kind of
just
hard.
counting.
not
You're
true.
just holding out until you're ready to say sorry.
And while we're on the
Can we just stop this?
while we're on the girlfriend whose boyfriends are big fans theme, Julia writes in, wanted to reach out because my boyfriend Cameron absolutely loves the Patriots and your podcast. To be honest, I've never been interested in sports, but after meeting my boyfriend, I began to learn more and more. You guys have been a huge help and are so fun to listen to. Fred, you're hilarious. Thank you. I was wondering if you could give a shout out to Cameron Fox of Brockport, New York, for being an awesome guy and a loyal Patriots fan. It would mean the world. All right, Cameron Fox, this is for you.
Awesome guy.
You got
Brockport. Played SUNY Brockport in
This
Florida
one's
one
for
year.
John.
You got a great girlfriend. She's got good taste in shows. I don't know about you, but shows for sure.
I'm not. No.
Yeah. No. All right. So
We're bringing people together.
Yeah.
Bringing couples together. Maybe we could do like one of those things where they have all the people that got married because of Patriots Unfiltered. You know, have them all together for a party.
Yeah.
Do I count?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll throw my
Does Jess
shot.
listen?
I'm pretty sure that that's not true.
No, not at all.
No.
We'll go with it though.
all right. So let's turn to our callers on the TPX hotline, who've been, as No Socks would say, patiently standing by.
No Socks dropped the mesh concept today. We were waiting for you. I'm like, No Socks, don't talk scheme until
Mesh.
mesh.
I don't think
Crazy.
The mesh
we're
point-
not.
the mesh point.
I'm not saying this about No Socks because his football knowledge is fantastic.
Airtight.
But apparently, we're not ready to have the conversation of what mesh actually is and looks like because everybody the spacing is horrible every single time you run mesh. I digress. It drives me nuts.
Okay.
Poor Evan.
Just like. It's a crossing concept.
wants to bring
They're
scheme
supposed
to the
to
people.
intersect. They're supposed to cross. So if you freeze the frame where they're crossing, then yes, they are on top of each other because that's the point of the concept.
Right.
He's
Thank
like
you.
He's like a calculus professor trying to teach it to like third graders.
It's like
It's not hard.
Why
guys.
don't you understand?
It's like in
Because we're in third
The
grade.
Hangover when Zach Galifianakis is doing the blackjack and all the things are going.
Right.
Mesh,
A beautiful mind. Yeah.
It's funny because he's fat.
Let's go to Christian in Virginia. What's up, Christian?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey.
Wait.
pretty good, I guess.
I'm in the same boat as Fred with that. I always feel like this is going to be the week, and I'm always a little bit disappointed. But I will say my optimism is carrying on. The Jets are having a horrible season, and we're probably going to have a pretty good pick. And on top of that, I feel like the dread of having a high pick is a little bit less now that Bill isn't picking still.
Oh, there you go. Good, Christian. Thanks for the call. Oh, got something
that's
else?
my take.
Okay. Thanks for the call. No, every week I think this is the week they're going to hit 30. And they haven't been able
Well,
to do it.
this was a good pick. I have to be honest with you. You picked 31, and they had 24, and they had more than ample opportunity to make it 31.
Okay, you need a blanket? You got your hands in
So
your
as I
sleeves
say,
right now.
I was on to something.
No, I just gave you your props. I gave you your flowers.
I won't bog down the show on draft talk. We're going to do draft talk on Catch 22 on Thursday. You can listen to that there if you want. Last year, a fantastic year to stink. This year, not shaping up to be such a great year to stink. So just to keep that in mind about the Patriots draft pick.
Not being a good year to stink. So in other words, it's not a deep draft.
No, it's not a very good draft, period.
Really?
I would
and why
say.
do you think that is? Like the after effects of COVID, a lot of guys have come out.
Oh.
They didn't, like.
I didn't think of it that way. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I think some years are better than others. This year reminds me a lot of the 2022 draft where there was Kenny Pickett was the only first-round quarterback. Aiden Hutchinson comes out of that draft. Sauce Gardner. There are good players in every draft, right? Like I'm not saying that every guy is going to stink. But last year, in my mind, there were 7 blue-chip prospects at the top of the draft. The 3 quarterbacks, Joe Alt, Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors. This draft, I don't know if there's one.
See, I don't care about that
chip.
as much. I care about the depth of the draft because even if you are at the top of the draft like the Patriots are, you're lucky to get that one blue chip guy. It's the rest of the picks that I'm more concerned about.
I hear you,
we
but
have to hit on 3 picks at least.
Yeah, but last year, based off of what we've seen so far, I think you could make the case that all 7 of those guys are going to be hits. Like Caleb, we'll see if the Bears get their.
I know, but we're only going to be able to get one of them.
Right.
But can I just interject here for a
Sure.
second? Let's just use apples to apples. So if you have a guy like, let's just say, Brock Bowers. Okay? If he's that much better than everybody else, the next guy might be a pretty good player.
Yep.
But if you don't have that caliber of player at the top,
correct,
it stands to reason that the guys in the ensuing rounds will not be as good as the guys in the ensuing rounds.
Why?
Because it bumps
the
everybody
talent
down.
level is down.
But wait a minute.
It's like
that makes no sense. Listen. Let's just say Brock Bowers, tight end. I know who he is, by the way.
Well, I didn't say it like that. Don't.
Best tight end in the league.
Let's just say he's a blue chipper. Okay.
He is.
So there's a separation between him and the rest of the tight ends.
Right.
That doesn't mean they got worse because he got better.
No,
you
but
can
what
still
I'm
have a
saying
deep.
is it's dropping. Like the best tight end is going to make the. So now the guys that are in the ensuing rounds are not as good.
Why? They're not as good as him.
It just stands to reason.
I'll give you.
They're not as good as the guy who's going to be the number 1 at the position.
Of course.
And that guy is not as good as they've been in the past.
No, but what I'm saying.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Mike?
No, but let's just say that they're not as good as him. But let's just say that they're fine in second-round talent. They're fine third-round talent.
Yeah, the best one might be that.
Well, fine. That's my point.
So I think Evan's point is
you're-
there's not as much high-end talent, so
I
the
know,
talent
but
drops.
I disagree. My point is that as the Patriots stand right now, we're only going to get one shot at a first-round pick. I'm more concerned with how deep is the rest of the rounds. Is there talent spread out on the rest of the draft?
I can't tell you what the whole depth of the draft is, but these guys that talk about it say no. It's not a very good draft.
Well, that's what I'm more worried about.
Yeah, I would just say that my point is that you want to they're picking 4th overall right now. They have the 4th overall pick in the draft.
Right.
You want to use that pick on somebody who is worthy of the 4th overall pick.
Sure.
You don't want to just have to pick a guy. And right now, as I'm starting to go through some of these guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball, it kind of feels like you're just going to have to end up picking somebody because you have to pick.
Well, that's a problem.
You have to turn
and
in a
you're not going
card.
to be able to trade down because everyone sees the same thing.
Right,
you see.
and there's no quarterback.
To entice you to move up.
So,
and to knock people
just
down.
to give a tangible example, Tet McMillan from Arizona is a nice player. Like, I think he's a nice player. I probably would have had him as like the 4th or 5th receiver in the class last year.
So
this year he's going to be the first receiver.
Can I give you a peek into the Evan soul?
Yeah.
So Mike and I do the pregame show on Sunday. We come upstairs, and it's usually like maybe 10, 12 minutes before kickoff. So I walk over and sit down next to Fred. I look at Evan. Evan's got his laptop open. What is he watching? Arizona TCU highlights. So I can watch.
Not highlights.
All 22.
Not highlights.
All 22. Ted McMillan. But he's a nice player. Like, I think that, like, T. Higgins, Drake London, I think those are, like, decent comps for him. But last year, he's the 4th or 5th guy off the board at that position. This year, he's a top 10 pick. Like, that's not what you want. You want to just have to take him by default.
Yeah, sure. You want somebody at
So
that level.
I do
You want
think,
somebody
Fred,
that's worth it because you're paying him a lot of
And
money.
I know what your point is. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean there aren't as many, second round, third round guys.
Yeah, what if there's third round guys that are second round talents?
My
I'll
feeling
take
is
that.
the second round guys in the past are being taken in the first round when there's no high end talent.
Yeah.
So now the third round guys are second round guys. And the
Unless
fourth,
they were
like,
really close.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe, but I think that's sort of hard to imagine.
Yeah,
that's
but-
all I'm
and
saying.
this
And again, I don't know the depth of the draft. I don't. It's not my area of expertise. It's not my
I'm
opinion.
nowhere near ready to
Yeah.
comment on the depth of the draft in terms of days 2 and 3, but day 1, just again, like, I think that a lot of the talent on the defensive side of the ball is decent. Some of these guys on offense will be contributors in the league, I'm sure, and maybe I'm wrong, and one of these guys will explode. But in my mind, like, Travis Hunter is really the only true blue chip talent in this draft. And if there's no quarterback going 1-1, then Travis Hunter is going to go at the first overall pick. So if the Patriots aren't picking first
What
overall,
about the running back? I know he's
Gentry. Well, that's
Yeah.
a running back.
Well, I know, but is he a blue chip running back?
I mean, I don't really believe in blue chip running backs.
Oh boy.
So,
well, was he like Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs?
He's smaller than Bijan, so like that is a
Maurice
concern
Jones-Drew, like
I
that
would
little
have.
rat body type.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Squatty.
He's really good. He's really good. He probably should win the Heisman. I think Travis Hunter is going to just because of the name recognition, but Gentry probably should win it. He's a really good player, but he's running back.
Yeah, this comes on the heels too. I remember having the conversation last year around the draft of that. A lot of the 6th and 7th round guys they say are like UDFAs now. Like that, the depth in the draft generally hasn't been good.
That's
lately.
NIL.
And that's Fred's thing too
Yeah.
about the COVID that add extra. COVID. You still every game you watch, it's like 5th, 6th, 7th year guys.
Oh yeah.
That Miami guy just 9th year.
It's also NIL. Like a lot of the guys are going back because they're getting
because they
paid
have
to
money,
go back. So now they'll go into next year's draft, so that shrinks
So
the
it's going to
talent
take a
pool.
few years for.
But I do
to
understand
adjust to
your
this whole
point,
NIL
Freddie.
thing.
Yeah.
With yeah, I mean maybe you don't get a blue chip guy with the 4th overall pick, but you can still get good players, and if you can, then that's okay. But I just think it stands to reason that if the first round picks are not first rounders every year, they're just first rounders this year, then my guess is the second rounders aren't second rounders every year, they're second rounders this year. Like, I just think it's a trickle down. I can't imagine that this draft has 50 really good players but no great ones, whereas most drafts only have 20 really good players but 10 great ones. Like, isn't that hard to imagine?
I don't know. Not really.
And I'm just using random numbers.
If I'm coming around to defense.
All right.
That's all. So
Jared's in Los Angeles.
I just think whatever you think is the very best player.
Yeah.
Like, this
Take
is a
him.
year you have to stick to
Unless
your
he's
board.
a quarterback.
Yeah. Unless it's a quarterback. And that's
Jared in LA, what's up? Jared. Well, we waited for over an hour, so I guess hang up. Emery's in Virginia. What's up, Emery? Emery. What the?
Yep.
Are you there?
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey.
I enjoy listening to you. I appreciate keeping us informed with Patriot football.
Sure.
But I do have a bone to pick with you. Just some of the verbiage and the lack of support, in my opinion, for Coach Mayo at times. Hey, 13 games. Belichick, Jimmy Johnson, Dan Campbell, and a few others, they didn't get off to great starts. All I'm asking, give the man a chance. And I know there have been some positive verbiage as well, but not enough. We're just saying 13 games. I think he's the man cut out for the job, but we need to slow our roll and put that noose away. Don't hang him yet. Just after 13
Hear that?
games.
I don't think anyone's doing
All right,
that.
thank you.
No,
Thank you for
but
letting me-
Emery, stay on though.
No, yeah.
For
Okay.
a second, because I hear what you're saying, but we can't every week say we got to give him a chance. We have to talk about what's going on. So tell me some positives. Give me some positives.
Some positives that those guys are playing hard for him. Those guys are playing hard, and I haven't heard anything come out from Robert K. about about Mayo and the job that he's doing. I think he understands that this is his first opportunity as a head coach, and there's going to be some hiccups. Come on, Belichick put in 20-plus years, some good years. But those last 3 to 4 years, come on. That was unacceptable.
I agree with you.
Well,
Yeah, he had to go.
But you know what? We didn't hope, because we thought about all the good years that he brought, in the Super Bowls and stuff like that. And so all I'm saying, 13 games, really? Come on, gentlemen, please.
Okay.
Give him an opportunity. So, like you said, Fred, that's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
Every week, come on now. It hasn't been there. There've been some positive signs, stuff like that. And he's trying to be his own man, and those are some big shoes to fill. When it comes to Coach Belichick and all that. But all I'm just saying, 13 games, gentlemen, please, come on.
No doubt. Okay.
Is there a lot of that on this show?
Thanks, Emery. I
don't think there's any chance that he's not back next year.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
I think we all think he'll be back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like we're overly.
No, I don't think we are overly
negative with.
But at the same time, we have to be fair. If we believe that, coaching affected a game negatively, we have to say that.
Yeah, I think there's been some mistakes, and like Emery said, he's only coached 13 games. He's gonna make I think game calculation, game mistakes. I think it was an error, as an example, to not call timeouts on defense in the last minute. Once the Colts got first and goal from the 7, I think they should have been calling timeout. And, you look at it, they end up getting to midfield. If they had 20 more seconds, might they get to the 35?
Right.
And then you kick a field goal to win the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's all. If you want him to get better, you got to talk about these things, because the things he's got to clean up. I'm sure he's analyzing these things too, but I think
there just doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to the timeout usage in these games. Like before halftime, they're running the ball while simultaneously stopping the clock with timeout. So I get the goal is to make sure that that's the last possession of the half. So then to use a Paul phrase, wouldn't that stand to reason to let the clock run after you run the football? Like, why are you running the ball and then calling a timeout immediately to stop the clock?
If you wanted to run the ball, then run to the line and run it again.
Right.
And then call timeout, so you still have, if you
let
wanted
the
to
clock
do it that way.
let it run so that you milk some of that clock off so that it is the last possession of the half. And then at the end of the game, I'm with Paul, like how you don't call timeouts on defense there to give your offense as much time as possible to rebuttal, knowing that they really haven't stopped you all day on that side of the football, at least until you get to the red zone, which you wouldn't even need to do.
You wouldn't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and we say those things knowing, he's new but these are the things that he has to get better at.
I think the frustration for me too is just like, he has people on staff. Evan Rothstein is the name that he always talks about, that are supposed to be advising him in these types of situations. So like it's the people around him too that are sort of letting him down, it seems like. And if those guys are on the headset saying timeout, 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 and he's just ignoring them because he's going off of his own gut or his own instincts or whatever, then that's a kind of a problem too. Like, because it's obviously not working. The method is not working.
So we're gonna I feel like we need to talk about the games and whatnot. Now the big picture, I'm with Emery. Big picture, 13 games. He's gonna get better at these things theoretically and get his own players in and have his culture and all that stuff. But week to week, I think we need to analyze what happens in the game. You know, the first game that he coached, could he have gotten any more praise from this show and all others around here about how good they looked, how disciplined, prepared, the game plan on both sides, the lack of penalties, the lack of mistakes, and they go to Cincinnati and win a game. I mean, that was the quote-unquote narrative in week one, right? So I think you have to sort of, not to steal my show's line, but we have a show to do today.
We talked before the break, and I asked the question, coming out of the bye, what should be the message from Mayo to his team? 4 games left. What's your message?
Who wants to be here?
Yeah.
Well, it's not to me. It's not even who wants to be here. It's like you're a professional, whether you're here or not. Everything you do is on tape.
Yeah.
So as a professional,
like that's the whole like they play hard for him. Like I don't know.
Well,
right now the Jets are a dumpster fire. They emptied the bucket on Sunday. That was a game that they were winning for 59 minutes, and they couldn't win it at the end.
Yeah.
Like teams play hard.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are exactly what you said. You're a professional. If you're not going to be there, if you're not going to be part of the future for that team, you got to put something on tape that someone's going to be.
You want to be the
wanting.
future for somebody.
These guys are fighting for their NFL lives.
Right.
Like I don't think there's a lot of dumping in the NFL.
No.
There might be, like, Carolina clearly sold off a lot of pieces last year because they wanted to get bad. I think you can make an argument that Washington did it with
the pass rushers.
Chase Brown. Yeah.
I mean, Chase Young, Montez
Chase Young,
Sweat.
and I almost called him Chase Brown. That's
Yeah.
a running back. Chase Young and Sweat. You can sell off pieces maybe to not put yourself in the best position to win, but you can't ask your players to go out there and not play hard.
That's tanking's from the management and ownership level, right? Like that's from upstairs, to use a hockey term, not ice level. Like that, the
So
players
I
are
would
not.
agree.
doing
I would
that.
agree with Emery. I think the Patriots have played hard. I think the other teams play hard too. And I don't think there's a lot of like, they just didn't really show up. Like they got blasted in Miami. I don't think it's because they weren't trying. I really don't. I know some people said they quit. I don't think that they weren't trying in Miami. They just played poorly.
It's a really big challenge to play these teams that they got to play too. And I mean, we talked about the defense. They're going to have to face Buffalo, who's really good, twice. So all the things we're saying about the defense right now, like let's imagine what those things look like through the prism of Josh Allen.
Something about Buffalo that I'm a little
Buffalo.
worried about. That like I don't remember ever having to be what like. They could just line up and run it at you now.
They're having too much fun.
Yeah,
it's becoming really easy for them.
Yeah,
you know.
Wait, what up with your window, Fred?
Well, they played some good teams.
It's like an Anderson window.
Yeah. The window's closing on that prediction.
I also just
happening.
If you're
They've clinched the division, the earliest
5 years in
team
a row
since 2009.
5 years in a row, the coach is doing snow angels on the field post game on ESPN.
RA, can you believe
Yeah.
that?
I know.
Matt told me that. No Sox told me that on Monday. He goes, "What do you think of RA's snow angel?" I couldn't believe it.
No, it's
trying to
didn't
cool
see it.
down the RA.
They're having fun in Buffalo because it's coming easy to them.
But I just like they line up now and they just
James Cook.
They just run it at you.
Like from in the snow game from under center too, like not designed like with Josh Allen as a factor like they used to have to do. Like now they can literally just run it traditionally right at you.
Like a Milano back too. Like I just.
Well, that's the other thing. It's kind of interesting around the league how some of these long-term guys are starting to come back.
Yeah. Boost before the playoffs.
Hollywood Brown might be coming back for the Chiefs. They're going to get, I mean, this is not the same category, but DJ Humphries, I think, might be getting ready to play left tackle for them. That's been a disaster. Did you watch any of that Black Friday game?
I did. Yeah.
Kansas City and the Raiders?
Yeah.
They can't block.
Yeah.
Their tackles can't block anybody.
Yeah.
If you had any questions as to why Kansas City is so sporadic offensively, that's it.
There's no way Buffalo can win a Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl.
I'm not saying they're not capable.
I think
I'm just saying for the order of the universe, they cannot.
They're a notch behind. I think Detroit, Philadelphia. Like Philadelphia's been really impressive too.
Yeah.
We don't really talk about them.
I don't know if they're a notch behind anybody right now.
But yeah, you know what? I'm just not sold on the Bills' defense. I know they've played well. I'm not sold on their defense.
Yeah.
I think you can run on them. I still think they're a little soft defensively. Milano will help. If he can be healthy the rest of the way.
Yeah.
What's that?
I do think they have the MVP of the league.
But
That's why. I mean, that's
one. He and I have been lockstep.
What's the conversation like as we go into the offseason with the Patriots coming off a 2 out of 3 against that team? That's going to be a report card for you. And so Fred asked about how are we going to handle these last 4 games. Well, you got 4 good teams that you need to show something against. You can't roll out there and just try to end the season. I mean, they'll get walloped.
Yeah, the message needs to be, we need to keep improving.
Yeah.
We need to keep moving forward and keep improving, keep doing these things. Like offensively, you got a little momentum started, right? Let's keep building on it. Evan talked about there was a lot of different creative things that we hadn't really seen. Yep. Let's keep putting more of those in.
Yeah.
Let's improve in the red zone. Maybe some design zone reads for Drake May in the red zone. Stuff like that.
They did do a couple of them, and they all converted to handoffs, of course. But I look at that as the biggest thing to me is like if you're talking to Drake May and some of the guys that are going to be here, even just this is how you build momentum into next season is by finishing this season strong and figuring out what you're good at now this season, and then you build and build and build. That's how teams get better. That's how Detroit got better. San Francisco trades for Jimmy Garoppolo and has a nice end to the year in his first year there. Then the next year they're a contender. Like that's how you build a team, and it might not be for everybody because they might not all be here next year, but for the guys that for a fact are going to be on this roster in 2025, that's got to be the message is let's continue to build forward so that we can hit the ground running in 25.
Yeah. All right. Back on the TPX hotline, Tim is in Boston. Hey, Tim.
Hey, guys. I have a big problem with how the NFL calls DPI in certain situations. It happened on Sunday and then the Chiefs game last Friday. It happens when the receiver and the corner are running stride for stride on a go route, and the quarterback underthrows it, so the receiver stops and comes back towards the ball and initiates contact with the corner who's not looking. And they call it every time. It bails out a bad throw against good coverage. It drives me crazy. I think they need to make some rule where if the receiver initiates the contact, it's not DPI. What do you think?
Well, the problem with that, I hear what you're saying,
more.
Tim, but if the defender looks back, he's not going to get called.
Correct.
The problem is he has no idea where the ball is, and you're calling it a bad throw. A lot of times it's supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a comeback like that.
Want to know who invented that?
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. What?
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
The back shoulder throw, no one threw it better.
Yeah.
And he did it first.
So a lot of times that sets up the defender to be in that bad position. So as a ref, you got to call that because he's not going for the ball. He's not making a play for the ball. He has no idea where the ball is. And he's impeding the receiver from getting to the ball. There's no other way. There's nothing else to do but to call PI.
If the receiver was running across the field and then stopped and ran back the other way for the ball and ran into the defensive back, would you say that that's pass interference? Of course.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you do it if he's running up the field and comes back for the ball?
You can't impede the guy unless, like I said, it's 50-50 and you're going for the ball too.
Those are the ones I hate.
Yeah.
When the guy does go up and makes a play on the ball and, there's some hand fighting and stuff and they call those. But and it's not fair to Jelani Tavai, who's 30 yards downfield chasing a guy.
Yeah.
Of course he's behind him. He shouldn't.
Those are different to me. I don't like the ones that are go routes where it's 10 yards underthrown and the receiver's clearly almost flopping. Like the receiver is clearly trying.
And it's not a catchable ball.
Yeah,
right.
But you can tell the difference.
Yeah, but they don't they don't tell the difference.
Well, that's
like
that's why every play should be reviewable.
I just think there needs to be some
those
sort
are
of...
That's what we need, more reviews.
No, that doesn't mean you have more reviews, Paul.
But you just said every play is reviewable.
You can, but you still have you're still limited as a team. But you can choose to review any play.
I just think there needs to be some sort of... They don't call it a lot, like, embellishment or flopping in basketball or whatever. They have rules now where it's like if you're...
Hockey, they call it.
Yeah, if it's a 10-yard underthrow on a deep ball and the receiver purposely initiates contact by going back to the football and
that I think is interference.
Like
I have no problem with that. The first one you described, I'm with you. Like it's like woefully underthrown. The two guys just kind of and the guy just kind of flops. He knows he has no chance, throws his arms up, and that to me.
If you're both running stride for stride down the field and the ball's in the air and it's clearly underthrown, the receiver looks back to it and just slams on the brakes, because the ball is clearly underthrown. Like
that's interference.
It's
Because you got to be looking.
How it's like if you're out on the highway and the car in front of you stops short. Whose fault is that?
Yours,
right?
Yours. The car behind.
The guy behind is always at fault.
Is always at fault.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
You have to be aware.
So there you go.
You have to be aware of your surroundings.
And if you're running stride for stride and you're both looking back and the ball's woefully underthrown, you're stopping too. Because you're going for the ball.
I just don't think that. Like, I get what you guys are saying. I think for the defensive player, it's not how it's coached, and that's just really difficult.
I know it's a tough
a hard position to play.
Like if you're playing man-to-man coverage and your back is to the quarterback, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're beat. It just means that's how you play man-to-man.
But if you're chasing, and that's what happens on those plays more often than not.
But see, if what you're saying, if you know you can get away with that as a defender, you face mask. I don't mean grab him, but you get in his face every time. And how's he going to catch the ball?
But that's not what I'm necessarily talking about. I'm just saying when guys, like, obviously when the receiver is running a route and the defender's playing man-to-man behind him, like, he's obviously going to have his back to the quarterback and he's going to be behind, like, on his back hip, right? Like, that's just...
No, but when you see that receiver...
No, but I'm not talking necessarily, like, right perfectly in phase. Like, there can be a play where that happens, what you're talking about, and I don't like those either. But I'm talking about a play like Tavai the other day where he's like 5 yards behind. Like the one to Marcus Jones to Mitchell. If that ball had been underthrown and Mitchell stopped and came back for it, that should be interference. Mm-hmm. I mean, Marcus Jones was not in good position on that play. And he's chasing, he's desperately trying to get in, but now the throw was out to the outside, so there was no interference on it. But if that throw was short, and Mitchell comes back and he has to go through the defender, that should be a penalty.
Unless Marcus Jones turns around and
makes a play
tries
on the ball.
to make a play.
Right, that's different.
Right.
It's hard to coach. That's
It's
all I
a
think
really
about
hard
is how do
position
you
to
know,
play.
Yeah, it is. Especially that situation.
I could talk to you for, I mean, I forget half of the stuff that he said, but Bill gave us a dissertation on that.
Oh, yeah.
In a production meeting one year before a preseason game, and I was the receiver. He I stacked him.
Yep.
And then he was in phase. He had all the Evan buzzwords were in play.
I don't care for the underthrown.
And he was like, you got to go up and underneath. And so Paul, he goes,
offense.
Paul, put your arms out.
So Flacco
So I put
pretty
my
good
arms out like this. He's like, you got to go up and in between the arms.
Yeah.
You know, and like he had, it was, I mean, it was unbelievable how the minute details and minutia that he came up with.
When you're a team that plays as much man coverage as the Patriots do, you're going to get beat. And so playing the ball from out of phase is an art that you have to master in this defense. And they've been really good at coaching it over the years. They're one of the better teams
never forget,
at it.
I would agree with that.
I'll never forget Bryant College, Paul. After a practice, Parcells has Ty Law, who had just got drafted on the side. This is after practice, teaching him when you're going down the sideline with the player, with the receiver, you don't use your inside arm, you use your outside arm, and he showed how it's like 4 or 5 inches higher up if you use that outside arm instead of this arm. And Tyler was like, oh, okay.
He played in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good coaching. No.
And it's hard. Like, cornerback is really
that's
hard.
why I totally get the
Gonzalez makes it look
frustration
so easy, but it's
from
not.
the caller. And I remember Flacco doing these too. Like I remember Flacco driving me crazy with these.
That's different. Like like when you throw it, like some of those are just like like you throw like your goal on a play is to get a penalty.
Yeah.
That I'm with the caller about.
That's sort of where I'm getting at too. Is like it's almost like an art on their side where this is covered, but I'm gonna slightly underthrow this, and the receiver is gonna react a certain way, and we're just gonna draw a flag.
That happens way more in college.
But if the defender does look back in time, now he's in the better position to make the pick.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you play the ball
right,
you're looking when the ball's underthrown, and you can go and make a play on it.
Right.
And I understand what Evan's talking about, and Bill has also talked to us about this. Fans used to really get on the Patriots defensive backs for never looking back. And Bill used to explain they're not taught always to look back. It depends on the situation, depends on the route, it depends on being in phase.
Yeah.
It depends on your positioning and whatnot, but you're not always taught to look back.
Because you lose
the guy. That's my point, is like the technique is not taught to look back for the football. And like this is, I think, something that the league often misses out on is like, have these guys actually played football, or are they just making up rules as we go here? Because like they're calling DPIs like this that go strictly against the way that the play is coached.
For
So,
me,
like,
it's all about a case by case. If I could watch 10 plays that Tim could show me, and I'll bet you I would agree with him on at least 5 of them. Like, nah, I wouldn't have called that pass interference either. But not just the whole back shoulder thing when the receiver. No, you can't just be a traffic cone and be in the way.
Yeah.
Like, if the guy's making a play on the ball and you're not, that's a penalty.
Yep.
But like, you know it when you see it. Like when you're scrambling around. Sometimes the receivers, they look like they're like fish out of water, and they're like just the hands are flailing, and the defensive back is just there, and they're almost like grabbing the defensive back and making it look like the guy's stopping them. Those are the cheesy calls.
It actually doesn't bother me all that much, and I just got
really.
I
I hate the whole like it should be 15 yards. Like, no, it shouldn't be. Like,
No,
I watch these college
that's the
games
whole thing.
and they throw these bombs and guys that have no idea where they are. The defensive backs have no idea, and they take these 40, 50-yard plays away just by running into a guy, and it's a 15-yard penalty.
Right.
I don't like that.
I know.
I think it should be a spot foul.
But a lot of people don't.
No, I know.
Yeah.
We're in the
I'm
minority.
with
Fred.
you.
We're in the minority on that.
I just want to feel like the play actually had a chance. Like those are the ones that get you. Where I'm like, there wasn't even a chance on that one. Like you know what I'm talking about.
This is what I'm saying. It's a case by case.
Yeah.
I'll bet you at least half of the pass interferences in Patriots games this year I've disagreed with. Both sides, both ways.
I feel like holding an illegal contact has sort of worked as like a buffer so that not everything's a spot foul.
Right.
Because there definitely are different degrees of like how egregious the foul is, and so to call everything a spot foul is probably going a little too far.
Yeah. Let's get back to the phones. Sean's in Vancouver. Hey, Sean.
Hey, everyone.
My car did not
I
work
know
that
I was a little pessimistic in the pregame show. Didn't really think the Patriots were going to win, but I'm really thrown that they lost and upset. But I want to bring some silver lining. I want to say that there are things I'm going to be looking for now. I have some hope for the future with Austin. Maybe he can turn into a boundary corner. The tight ends look pretty good. Bourne and Pop, they could be functional receivers if we get a number one. So that's what I'm watching for the next 4 games. I want to see the progress we can make and see if it's more than just Drake and Gonzalez moving forward. So there you go. I'll leave you with that.
All right. Thanks, Vink. What are you guys looking for in the next 4 games? What's the thing that you're looking to most?
A surprise. I'd like to see a surprise, like something I'm not expecting. 'Cause
Like a surprise win.
Yeah, well, it could be that. Like, I mean, I don't think it's crazy. I don't expect they'll beat the Chargers, but Chargers here right after Christmas. I mean, they'll be in the hunt. I just think there's opportunities for them to make some noise, or at least to have a good impression going into the offseason. But have a player have a good game. You know, I don't think anything they're going to do over the last 4 games is going to change how you feel about the offseason and the positions and all that. But you can at least say, all right, this guy coming into camp, he had a good end of the season.
That's
like
what
Alex
I'm looking
Austin
at.
played like
Unless-
4 games. He was pretty solid.
If they could
Like,
pull a 93 and like rattle off, let's say 3 win. I'm not going to say all 4. Let's say they could win 3. That I think would be the surprise. Like 1 game, I don't care. But if you can win 3 or 4, that's a building block. That's a springboard into the offseason. It certainly was in 93.
Well, yeah.
And I know the callers have mentioned like Detroit in that first year. They were like I think they were 0-10 or something like that, and they finished 3-3-1 down the stretch. Like, that's a springboard for you.
Yeah.
Then the next year they went 9-8, and last year they were in the NFC Championship
Is
game.
there any merit in trying to get Polk involved?
Well,
your second-round pick with 4 games left.
That kind of stuff is more what I would be interested in the last 4 games. Yeah. Can you establish that Layden Robinson is your left tackle?
Right.
I would disagree a little bit with Evan. I would put Cole Strange at center to see if he can play. You have 4 games. Is there any way Caden Wallace can get healthy and back on the field and put him at right tackle? 4 games is a decent sample if those guys can play. Because now instead of needing 4 offensive linemen next year, I might only need 2.
Right.
Or maybe I still need 3, whatever. Maybe I found like my quality backups. Maybe I found a swing tackle. Maybe I found a versatile guard who can play on both sides. I don't know. Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. I mean, they already have young receivers with Douglas and Booty. Can they show any flashes in the last month?
And the good news is
I don't have a lot of faith in these things, by the way, but that's what I'd be hoping
The
for.
good news is that all these remaining games, their opponent will be playing for something. Because even the Bills, they've got the head-on-head advantage over Kansas City. See, all they need is Kansas City to lose once.
Arizona has got a game against Seattle this week that they kind of have to win. If they don't,
Okay.
I think they might go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers are going to be in the playoff picture, and the Bills, I think you're right. I think the Bills will have a chance to get the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, they want to fight for the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
I'm less caught up on the personnel because I think it's going to take a lot.
I do too.
For me to be convinced in 4 games that Jalen Polk is a player for this team.
Yeah, but if he has 4 good games, it was against 4 good opponents.
It'd have to be 4 really good games.
What if just out of I think he's got 12 catches. What if he had 12 in the last 4 games?
I mean, is he a player in the room? Like, does he belong on the roster? Like, I guess.
Well, that's what
he's going to be on the roster next year. He's a second-round pick.
Right. So, I guess I could be convinced of that in that respect. But that I am now going to count on him
what
as
if
a
Drake completes the bomb to Javon Baker that Baker dropped in the preseason?
No, that doesn't do it for me.
No. Me neither.
It's
X receiver off the table. We got it. We got
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Personnel-wise, there's not much. I don't think that is going to convince me that. Oh, well, we have Jalen Polk, so, forget about T. Higgins. We don't need that guy anymore.
I wouldn't say that.
but okay, even...
That's Andy Hart. That's an Andy Hart.
But not even not even just T. Higgins. I don't think I'm convinced that Jalen Polk can play in this league. So, I need to, see way more out of him.
That's what I'm saying. What if he had 4 catches in each of the last 4 games?
My bigger
show
point,
you he can at least play in the league.
Play in the league.
My bigger point is that to me it's more about the coaching on offense and defense, and where we're headed on those sides of the ball from a coordinator perspective. If this continues offensively, what we saw Sunday isn't just about the Colts. It's a how they're going to play offense moving forward. Then I feel pretty good about Alex Van Pelt staying on. If they don't button up some of these details on defense and they don't fix some of these things that are going wrong for them defensively, they might have to ask some tough questions about DeMarcus Covington in the offseason and where they're headed on that side of the football. How you chess match against good teams tells you a whole lot about your coordinators moving forward.
And I would really like to see, Captain Obvious, I'd really like to see Drake Bay play really well in bad weather.
Yeah.
Because more than likely he's going to have 3 bad weather games.
Yeah, every year.
At least.
No, these last 3 games.
Yeah.
The 2 Buffaloes in the Chargers, that's 2 that are here and 1 in Buffalo. Chances are all 3 of those are going to be bad weather.
I'm just to piggyback on Evan. I'm just so interested to see what they come out with defensively against Buffalo, because we've seen that Buffalo team roll this defense when it was, okay with Bill running it, and now it's their worst defense they've had. And how are they going to respond? Do they have anything in the I think that's a great point.
Can we cover receivers in the red zone? Can we just we don't have to fix everything, right? And this is I think
something
the bigger gripe that I have with Mayo too is it's Bill would always go in and with 3 things.
Yeah.
That we need to button up. It wasn't let's try to fix the entire defense in 1 week. It's let's not have coverage busts in the red zone like we did in Miami. Let's get that buttoned up. First drive of the game against the Colts, 2 wide open receivers on a coverage bust for an easy touchdown. So you didn't fix it. You didn't fix the problem. So at some point in time they have to show some signs of improvement.
Riley's in Arizona. What's up, Riley? We'll see you next week.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen?
Hey.
Hey, just a couple quick thoughts here, because I was obviously on Mayo's defense of things when I called a few weeks ago saying that everybody needs to kind of, bring back the reins and reel them in on the criticism on Mayo. But it's some of the things that we're just witnessing, it just really makes me scratch my head and question what the hell are we doing. And we're obviously at the home stretch of the season here where you would like to see a smooth operation and you'd like to see things buttoned up. But there's just so many glaring issues from Van Pelt. And don't get me wrong, I think Van Pelt has, had some really good play calls the last few games, especially in this game versus the Colts and that opening drive versus Miami, and same with the Rams. But it's kind of like what Evan alludes to. What kind of identity are we? Are we a run-first team? Are we a pass-first team? And at this point in the season, I would think that they would have some sort of identity, but we just see the same issues popping up where Van Pelt has a great first drive, like I said, in this game, the Dolphins game, the Rams game. But then here we are running it on a 1st and 10, and we run it, 2 straight times, and then may take that sack on the 3rd down when we're trying to score before half. And he did essentially the same thing just a few weeks ago against the Titans, where he prioritized the resetting of the downs more so than going down the field and scoring and putting points on the board. So that's just something that I think we definitely need to get figured out. But my main concern is more so on the defensive side of the ball, because I think Van Pelt will clean up those things and kind of get a better feel rolling into next season. But I definitely agree with you guys. I think there definitely is some questions surrounding Covington and where we go from there, because you just see the same mistakes week in and week out where there's just giant coverage bust and we have guys wide open waltzing into the end zone.
Yep.
And to me...
Oh, sorry, Riley. Fast finger. But I get it. Is it the defensive coordinator's job to be teaching the fundamentals and getting those mistakes out? Or is that the position coach's job?
Well, what are we referring to as the fundamentals mistakes?
Like, not filling, run fits and things like that.
I think so. You want to say like tackling, or like Evan was talking about techniques on pass defense with the corner.
Right.
That's probably more of a position coach.
Yeah.
But your game plan to stop the run is your run fits.
Yeah.
And your discipline,
right,
and your
especially
gap
'cause,
integrity, and all
that involves
stuff.
all 11 guys.
Right.
So you're really talking about the holistic style of the defense and how you want to go about doing things. I'd on the play calling side of things, like I think one of the most overrated things coming out of games is second guessing play calling. Obviously, when the play call doesn't work, we're all going to sit here and say horrible play call. Right.
Not me. I thought it was a horrible play call and a touchdown run by Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, those types of things just kind of irk me, because it's always a results-based thing.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, this is a great play call because it went for a 50-yard touchdown. Well, he took a sack. Horrible play call. Like, to me, the best play callers are play designers that have plays that have answers to the test, no matter what the defense is in. Right, like whether if it's man or zone, it's single high, it's too high, however they're fitting the run, if there's an extra hat in the box, like whatever. Good play callers and good offensive coordinators and offensive minds, they call plays that have built-in answers for whatever they're going to get thrown at them.
So
sequence,
so
stacking plays, setting plays up.
So it's 2nd and 8, and Van Pelt gets criticized for running the ball again.
Yeah.
Is there any chance on 2nd and 8 Drake May sees what the defense is offering and calls out of a pass into a run?
So they have cans, right? Like, so depending on what the defense is in, they'll can a call. Like if the defense is in single high and they might have a run and like a play action pass called, and so that if they start in the run, they could go can, and then they can run the play action pass because they have a look that they like the play action pass into. So they do some of that type of stuff, but in terms of like Tom Brady level PhD, like we're gonna adjust the entire chessboard, I don't think we're at that point yet with a rookie quarterback. But to me, it's just like
so I guess what I'm getting to is when you grind the all 22,
I try,
and you're looking at that 2nd and 8, and you look at what the defense is in. Is the run call the right call?
Yeah, like so the two plays that people keep on bringing up before half are actually RPOs. So they have routes connected to the run, and Drake is reading a guy in the box and determining whether he's going to hand it off or he's going to throw the football. So they actually had sort of run pass options on both of those plays. And so they both converted to runs, and they didn't block it well, and they got stuffed, And so, like, yeah, you could argue that maybe they shouldn't be running the ball at all, and like I get that argument, but to me it's just like it's execution. They, as much as I get on them, for a couple of the red zone drop back calls that he had, like they ran mesh in that one red zone play that Drake may get sacked on, and Kendrick Bourne runs the wrong route.
They're standing next to each other. Almost.
Yeah. Like he runs the wrong route. Like, so is that the coordinator's fault that the play didn't work because the receiver
not only
ran
did they
the wrong
run the
route?
wrong route, they actually stopped in the same place.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
And when I say coordinator's fault, yes, it's the coordinator's fault that the team isn't buttoned up. I more mean like, is the play call at fault for that happening?
And I would just say, I thought Sunday, the caller Riley was just saying like another game where the opening script was good. It wasn't just the whole game was good.
They
the
had
other
422 yards of offense.
and they moved the ball very well in the first half and in the second half. It wasn't just the opening script. Miami, they didn't move the ball at all in the game.
Right.
They had one drive. The second drive of the game was the only halfway decent drive, and that was it. They got shut out for 3 quarters. This game was light years different than the last game.
Yeah.
And I think that part of that
That's
was
why we're so frustrated.
Part of that was game plan in play calling. I thought they did a good job of it. Like Evan said, no one's ever going to agree with every play call. I thought the 2nd and 8 at the end of the half was a bad call. Even if it's an RPO, I don't like it. I'd rather have Drake throwing the ball. And I hated the 2nd and 8 run call after the Gonzalez pick.
Yep.
You want to run it on first down, fine. I would have taken a shot on first down, but you want to run it, fine. 2nd and 8, we got to get points.
Yeah.
We got to end this game.
Yeah, the second and long runs have to go. Like that's a big math no too. Like the analytics nerds,
Hey, now,
you run it on
was
second
a second
and 10,
and
you might
long
as well
touchdown
punt.
run for Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
I hated the call.
Yeah.
Hated it. I'm
The-
consistent though.
Those are a little different inside the red zone for the nerds. Like between the 20 second and long runs, like the nerds will say, "Well, might as well just punt it on second down."
That was a really good run by Gibson. There wasn't a touchdown. Like that wasn't blocked for a touchdown.
So
let's put it that way.
according to Next Gen, that had a 2% chance of being a touchdown.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a good run.
Sean's in Toronto. Hey, Sean.
Hey guys, I just wanted to vent a little bit about the NFL replay system and get your thoughts about how they can make it a little bit more equal here. I just noticed how it affects the Patriots is that as they become a less watchable product and a less of a draw, you get like the worst CBS crew or the bottom of the barrel Fox crew who loads their stadium up with 5 camera angles, and when it's time to go to a replay, you're kind of stuck with what they got. Meanwhile, you got the NBC crew or the primetime games that could really zoom in and get the perfect angle on something. I don't know if it's the NFL being cheap, if it's the broadcast being cheap, or if just certain stadiums can't put cameras in certain places. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts about if there's any way the NFL can make their replay system a little bit more uniform and a little bit more equal to each game that's going on across the league.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, Sean. Now,
And I think it's a great point, Sean. It's one I've railed against for years. Every game should be treated exactly the
well,
same.
I think I know there's a minimum amount of cameras a
Yeah.
broadcast needs.
There is.
And I know on the big primetime games there are extra cameras. What I don't know is, are those extra cameras that would come into play on a replay? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. No, you see it on Sunday night games all the time.
What?
The NBC it. There's different angles. There's different the close
that
up.
they can.
Yeah. I think Sean's point is accurate. Whatever the most amount of technology that one game gets,
they should all be the
all
same.
games should get it.
Right.
You don't get the coverage like Sean's saying. I understand that we get it. Like the third or fourth team.
Yeah.
For like Fox or CBS, that's fine, but they all should be covered the same in terms of the camera angles. Now, I don't think he's talking about this game in particular. I think he's talking about the NFL at large.
Yeah. Now, the other thing he alluded to is that even the crews vary. Like, every cameraman is not created equal. Some cameramen are better. And
right, but I think for the most part, you get all the shots that you need. You just don't have as many angles because some games don't have as many.
No, I know,
cameras.
I know. But
like we saw the play on Sunday. Like if they could have challenged that call. if they wanted to.
Well,
we saw it right away.
We only saw that. I only saw that one angle from behind the play or in front of the play.
Right. What's the only angle you need?
Well, I don't know. There's probably other angles of that play.
No, I understand that, but they showed it immediately is my point. If you wanted to challenge it, they could have challenged it. I think sort of we didn't get a good look at it. It's kind of a cop-out. I think that you're right. I think they would have not overturned that call.
Yeah.
I think his hands were underneath the ball. He pinned it against his chest. And, yes, the ball hit the ground, but it didn't help him catch the ball.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the other angle from, like, maybe from the visitor sideline coming from the other way.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. But
I agree with Sean's point. I don't understand how a league can have replay be involved, but not every game is equipped with the same amount of cameras, depending on the caliber of game. You should have, Carolina and Jacksonville should get everything that, Detroit and Philadelphia get.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fair to have it be different.
I'd love to ask somebody from the league the stance on that.
And my guess is it's an NFL cheap. Like Sean said that. Like, I don't know if the NFL's being cheap or the broadcast. Yeah, my guess is
the broadcast is being
Bill
cheap.
used to say, maybe we'll have a bake sale for the league.
Yep. Let's see. A couple more emails before we have to wrap up here.
Yeah, and Mike and Evan went to the locker room, by the way. They did just decide to.
Yeah, they just walked out.
Take off.
Christopher from Ware. The only coach I have positive feelings about is Van Pelt. I think he, like May, has improved over the course of the season. Also, he should be given some credit in May's development. I don't know what Gerard does well, and I haven't seen any improvement. He talks himself into trouble with the media almost weekly and keeps making mistakes that are very similar. Please, PU crew, inform me where I'm wrong. Is he a defensive X&O genius? How's the culture at 3-9? Should they be playing hard for him? They're professional millionaires. Wolf has a lot to prove. Mostly unimpressed. The Judon trade is probably his best move.
I agree.
This offseason, with all the money and picks they have, there should be massive talent improvement. I really don't know about those running the show. I fear the kids convinced Kraft to get rid of the mean old man, and now it's Lord of the Flies. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that bad, really.
No, I don't either. And I think, I'm thinking back to Emery's call from about a half hour ago, Emery in Virginia, and I think that he's right. Like, I look at it and say, yeah, all the things that people are criticizing are probably valid, but let's give it a little time for Elliott Wolf and for Gerard Mayo to sort of see their vision through and see if they can get I don't think it was a great first year, but let's see if they can get some players in here that they want to work with and if they improve.
I'm afraid of what Evan was talking about this draft, and that's going to be the excuse. Well, it wasn't a very deep draft.
But
we have to have a minimum of 3 players from that draft be contributors in 2025.
But can they contribute, or are they good?
They're good contributors.
Good.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to.
Like, good. They need to be good players.
I believe it when they say there's not enough blue chippers. I get that. But look at all the players in the league that are 3rd, 4th round players
you need to find
some contributors on their team.
And you need to use money in free agency. You need to bolster. I heard a call yesterday, and I don't know if it was accurate. A call to one of my shows, actually my show, claimed that Washington got 5 starters in the draft and 5 players in free agency in the draft.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Washington's a great team, but
they're coming down to earth a little bit, but they're playing well.
They put 42 on the board last week.
Yeah.
But they won. I think they're 8-5.
Yep.
They're well ahead of schedule in terms of competing for the playoffs. They're in a very similar spot that you are.
Yep.
They had the 2nd overall pick.
Yep.
And they drafted a rookie quarterback who hit.
It's a good comp.
It's a good comp.
Plus,
I heard
they had a whole new ownership.
Did you hear this conversation yesterday? I thought it was, it was an interesting comp.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how good all those players are. I don't know who the free agents they're talking about are, but you can do it.
Yeah.
You can add to your team. Now, is it the typical free agent bump that you get a bump in year 1 and it's not really good for long-term sustained success?
We'll see.
We'll see.
The Patriots can turn this around quickly.
I think there's no reason why they can't be a competitive team next year.
That's right.
But it's not going to be easy.
No. They have to make the right moves.
Yeah, you have the hardest piece to find.
Yep.
You have a talented quarterback. I don't know how good he is.
Yeah.
I do know how talented he is.
Yeah.
I don't know how good of a quarterback he is yet.
Yep.
but you have the hardest piece to find. He can do things that your last guy couldn't. Now it's up to you to get some guys around him that can make plays.
All right.
Protect them.
That's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We'll be back tomorrow. It's the bye week for them, not for us. We'll be here Wednesday and Thursday. So make sure that you tune in or catch us on the podcast, wherever you get those podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, all those places.
Tap that app.
Tap it. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.